Hello everyone, I am the Weather Dude. Welcome back, and today we're going to be taking another look at Hurricane Ida, the latest track intensity, because this thing is going to be an absolute monster as it barrels towards Louisiana today into tomorrow. Before we get started, however, be sure to like and subscribe so this video reaches more people that definitely need to see the latest updates on the system. It only takes a few seconds, so be sure to like and subscribe, and we're going to get started. So here is the 5 p.m. update. I was waiting for the 5 p.m. update to come out, that way I could get the latest on it. 105 mile-an-hour winds, which is 100 in the last update, with winds gusting higher than that, of course, to Category 3 status up to 125, but those are just gusts, of course. It's still moving northwest at 16 miles an hour, and pressure is down to 976, all right? Now, intensity is down ever so slightly. A 140 mile-an-hour hurricane was forecast, now it's down to 130, but that literally takes nothing out of the equation, all right? I mean, if you look, like as I'm going to show you later, the surge isn't going to go down, the rain isn't going to go down, okay, the winds are 10 miles an hour lighter, and let's say you're sitting there riding out the storm, it won't feel any different. Winds could still gust, potentially to Category 5 status, up to 160, so 158, I think, around there, or 157 is Cat 5. I mean, but winds could be gusting to Cat 5, sustained will probably not be. But it's going to start going on this rapid intensification period, probably starting now, probably through tonight as well. As we know, tropical systems do tend to strengthen more at night. But look at this. Even as it passes Baton Rouge, still a Category 1 hurricane. All right? And even inland Louisiana and the Mississippi, winds could be still gusting up to 50 miles an hour. And then it's going to barrel towards the mid-Atlantic states. All right? So you guys are going to have a flood threat too as well. But I want to just focus in on the Louisiana and the Gulf Coast threat for today. We do have tropical storm warnings. Again, look at where the center is coming on shore. All right, pretty much right around here. And yet tropical storm warning extend all the way back west, all right? Pretty much almost to the Texas-Louisiana border. Almost, but not quite. Morgan City, Huma, not New Orleans proper, but Morgan City and Huma are under the storm surge warning. So is Slidell, Gulfport, Biloxi, Mobile, even, all right, Mobile Bay. The water's going to go right up the bay. All right, so that's not going to be good for you guys. And surge could be still concerned in New Orleans. Just because you're not under the storm surge warning doesn't mean you won't be seeing issues. It just means that areas in the warning could see a little bit worse in terms of surge. Rainfall, yeah, look at this. All right, this was the newer map that came out around 3:50 Eastern Time, 2:50 Central. All right, and you can see right around New Orleans, pretty much downtown and points just to the west of there. All right, 15 to 20 inches of rain is now added back to the picture. I think they had it there and then they took it down and it's back up again. And notice right where it makes landfall, of course, we could also see 15 to 20 inches of rain. All right, so that is a lot of rainfall, and much of southeastern Louisiana is in the 10 to 15. Like, that's widespread. That's just a little area of locally 15 to 20 for New Orleans. But notice this. All right, Slidell is 10 to 15 inches. All right, we got Biloxi in 6 to 10 inches of rain. Mobile 6 to 10 inches of rain. Even Lake Charles, you can still get an inch or two of rainfall from this. All right, but then it doesn't stop there. It goes inland. All right, look at all the yellow areas: Jackson, Nashville. All right. Louisville's actually in the 6 to 10 inch range, but all right, we got Jackson, Nashville, Elkins, Cincinnati, all right, all the way up into the mid-Atlantic. The yellows are 4 to 6 inches of rain, and even well outside of that, 2 to 4 inches is still a lot of rain for one system, all right? So a lot of rainfall will be in store here. And notice the Florida Panhandle. Around Pensacola, you're right on the cusp there between 4 to 6, and I would say you're more on the 6 to 10 side, but even like Apalachicola, you're sitting on the fence between 2 to 4 and 4 to 6. So that's a lot of rainfall yet still. Birmingham and Montgomery, you'll be spared from the worst of it. But I don't think it'll be spared from the storm itself. I just think it'll be spared from the worst. Obviously, the worst will be down to the coast. And then inland, the worst will be in that yellow region in terms of rainfall. All right. Now, here's the latest surge map. Not much has changed, but surge has gone up now for Lake Pontchartrain, interesting. So I believe at one point it was like 4 to 7. It's now 5 to 8 feet, minor increase. And Lake Maurepas is, of course, 4 to 6 feet now as well. The lake just beside Lake Pontchartrain. Mobile Bay, 2 to 4 feet of surge is still a lot. All right, 4 to 7 feet from Ocean Springs to the border of Mississippi and Alabama. 4 to 7 feet. That's about the height of humans, if not taller than some. And then once you get to the 7 to 11 feet and the 10 to 15 feet, like unless you're the tallest man on earth, all right, or a basketball player, because they tend to be pretty tall. Other than that, like this is pretty much higher than most people are. All right, so 7 to 11 feet, 10 to 15 feet, that could even be double some people's height. So I just want to give like a little perspective for you on how high the surge could be. All right, Intracoastal City to Morgan City, 6 to 9 feet of surge. Remember, the landfall forecast point I think is pretty much around Morgan City. Right, it's between Morgan City and Huma, pretty much right in here. All right, and this is west of the circulation. So from Pekin Island to Intercoastal City, 3 to 5 feet, and even down to the Texas-Louisiana border, still 1 to 3 feet of surge. All right, and of course that could still be dangerous. But look at the surge, and that just tells you from a coastal perspective. Look inland. All right, this surge, there was so many different rivers that empty out into the Gulf of Mexico. Like we got the Mississippi River that goes right through New Orleans proper. All right, the water can go right. Like if the wind, points in the right direction, that water goes up the Mississippi River. All right, we got so many different inlets that go, the water just goes, we're talking about 10, 20, 30, even up to 50 plus miles inland the surge can get, okay? So I just want to put that in a little bit of perspective. But Gulfport, Biloxi, you can see 3 to 6 feet, and this is like a reasonable worst case scenario. I don't even think this is the worst case scenario, really, but it's probably close to it. This one is pretty much worst case scenario if it happens at high tide, which it actually is forecast to in some spots. All right. So if we look at the rainfall threat, of course, around New Orleans, Morgan City, and Huma, of course, is where the high flood threat is. But moderate and slight are just as bad. All right, Jackson, even Mobile as well, and that will spread inland as we head through the next couple of days. But this thing is going to slow down. All right. I can't say now in terms of the surge aspect, this is not going to be as bad as Katrina for the surge. However, for the rainfall, this will actually be much worse than Katrina. So I think Katrina was actually, I wouldn't say it was a fast-moving system, but it didn't dump all that much rain. So it wasn't really like stalling out, if you will. I think like 5 to 8 inches in most spots, which is a lot, but compared to what this storm could dump, really not much in comparison. So this could double the rainfall totals we saw from Katrina, but the surge, of course, will be considerably less. But that doesn't mean the storm will not be dangerous. Tropical storm force wind probabilities, all right, very high for pretty much 90 to 100% chance for New Orleans, Morgan City, Huma, even Intracoastal City, 70% chance. All right, even Mobile Bay, you're really not out of it. Biloxi, Gulfport. All right, and it goes inland too. All right, I would say anywhere in the yellow. All right, and yellow and higher is where you got like the good bet. Like, that's higher than 30% chance of seeing tropical storm force winds. Earliest reasonable arrival time. Now for coastal Louisiana, like say Grand Isle, like the southeasternmost points, I would say between Saturday 8 p.m., which is tonight, and Sunday 8 a.m. So that's like pretty much around overnight, basically, when you're sleeping. And in New Orleans, maybe like in the wee hours of Sunday morning, those earliest reasonable arrival time. But most likely time will be when you're waking up in New Orleans. All right, so definitely want to make sure you're prepared. Hurricane force wind probabilities, I can assure you as the storm goes closer, like I say all the time, these probabilities will go up. You can already see the purples are being added here. Of course, where the hurricane's going to track. But still, even pretty far inland, we do have a little bit of a chance. But I think it's going to be limited to the yellow regions, all right, closer to the coast, including New Orleans and Morgan City and Huma and Grand Isle. All those 4 places that I'm going to be talking about a lot are the places that will probably see the best chance of seeing hurricane force winds. So not Buffalo, but Biloxi and Mobile, probably not going to see those hurricane force winds. But even so, these areas do have a slight chance to see a 58-mile-an-hour winds. Now, I'm going to be updating this later on in the video. Hurricane hunters are flying into this thing now, and flight level winds, so you can see those purples are 64 to 83 knots, but right in there, I think that's the northeastern eye wall because the winds draw considerably right here. All right, pretty much like in this zone, picking up 83 to 96 knots. All right, so that's the strongest area of we're seeing wind right now. All right, so if we look at the satellite, actually, before we look at the satellite, let's get a refresh on this. So yes, we just had a jump up to 80 knots. They're flying through right now. Look at the pressure. They're in the center right now. They're finding pressure pretty much down to 970, 971. Pressure in the 5 p.m. update, that was literally 20 minutes ago, was 976, I believe. So pressure has definitely gone down. 80 knots. All right, we'll see if they find some more winds stronger than that, because I think that represents about 90 miles an hour, 95. So it was stronger than that, but pressure has dropped. So we'll see if they can find some area of stronger winds. We'll be updating that throughout the video. So this video may be a little bit longer. I'm not quite sure, but there's certainly a lot to talk about with Ida. All right. So pardon the clocking on the screen, but you can see the eye that's trying to form right there in the middle, right? You can see the eye has been trying to form itself like all day, but the southwest of the center is actually where you're seeing a lot of the most intense convection, which is pretty interesting. I can't really say there's out northeast shear, but not really because it's still strengthening. It just happens to be that convection's on this, and if this would stop loading, you could probably see that it's actually trying to wrap around. But sadly, some of the frames aren't really working. Like this is literally like I've been loading this for like minutes, and I always have no issue loading it. So Must be something on the website, but you can see, like, on the last frame right there, you can see the eye right there, and you can see the convection to the south and southwest side. And you can see it's trying to wrap itself around. All right, it was actually wrapping itself around earlier today, the convection around the center. All right, so the visible seems to be working fine, so that's good. On the visible, you can see low center is right there, and you can see those overshooting cloud tops that form right around the center constantly, all right? And you can see, look at these cloud tops. Similar to what you're seeing in the center is what you're seeing in some of these bands here. Like this and the outflow, like this is really looking much more impressive than it was earlier today. And it looks like, again, it's moving to the northwest. Now, if it goes slightly farther east, New Orleans, you could be in play, but I'm thinking of landfall somewhere in this region, all right? So just to the west of New Orleans. But of course, we know that that puts you on the east side, all right? So we don't want that. So I have marked here of where the low center is currently, all right? 85 miles an hour in terms of wind here. But as we move this forward, you can see that the water temperatures, all right? Actually, let me load up the wind graphic. I actually have to load up the pressure. There we go. Okay, so now we have the pressure on. So again, according to the European model, here is where we have the low center, right? Now I'm going to continue to move this further in time. You can see where the low is in coordinates to the sea surface temperature. So as the low moves north and west, all right, 86 degree waters, it'll be moving through 86, 87, 88, all right, and probably around 88. I saw 89 somewhere earlier before landfall, all right? But notice this. Look how they slow it down, all right? This is, I believe, this time period is 8 a.m., and every click I do is 3 hours, all right? So that's 8 a.m. This is 11 to 5, all right? So notice how long it took. Like, this was 8 a.m. pretty much, and this was 5 p.m. So if it does slow down a little bit before landfall, then it will have more time to strengthen over the very warm waters here in the northern Gulf. If not, if it books it towards the shoreline, then slows down after it makes landfall, it might have less time to strengthen. So, like, literally, shear is low. As you'll see later, dry air is low. Water temperatures are warm. The only way to get a better case scenario with this system is if the storm moves faster. That's about it. That's all we can hope for. But wind's very strong. And look at the wave heights, by the way. Look at the European model with the wave heights here. 36, I saw even earlier on the run closer to 40 feet. All right, so these are like ginormous waves. All right, and those will be slamming into the coast as well. All right, so here we are with the wind shear. Now, interestingly enough, the storm itself is sitting in not as much shear, but there is a little bit to the north, very little. All right, but it's interesting because if you look at the shear forecast, I'm sorry, that's the wind steering. Shear forecast here, you can see really not much more in its path as it continues to strengthen. All right, and of course, the latest track we have is a 130 mile an hour Cat 4 at landfall, still very strong. All right, so shear could even be lower than it is now, which we thought the shear is low now, but it could drop even more. All right, and if we look at the wind steering, why are the models so confident it's going into Louisiana? Well, because we have the high pressure sitting off to the east near Georgia and South Carolina, and you can see by the steering currents that brings it right up into Louisiana, right about there. You can see the arrows, so it sort of came out of Cuba, and it kind of hopped on the train of the high pressure. And it's going to go up north and then wrap itself around the high pressure and go through the mid-Atlantic states. All right, and probably the northeast New England eventually too. This high will probably drop a little bit further south. This trough will probably dig in and help to steer it. Because if the high stays where it is now and the trough stays where it is now, this will probably go up into New England. All right, but it'll probably stay a little bit further south. But as for you guys in the landfall point, probably going to be southern and southeastern Louisiana. All right, so let me get this off. All right, there we go. So if we go to the modeling now, we're going to look at a bunch of models here. GFS model, all right, you can see the drop in pressure, all right, that we have right there, 966 right at landfall. And I think it could even be lower pressure than that, but look at the heavy rainfall that's accompanied with it. All right, I mean, New Orleans, that's pretty much it right there. South of Lake Pontchartrain, that's New Orleans right about there. All right, about 8 p.m. Sunday, it's going to be coming down in sheets. The wind is going to be absolutely insane. I can't wait to watch the live coverage of it because it's going to be an insane storm. And it moves towards the north. All right, through the mid-Atlantic states, of course. So if we look at the rainfall, all right, let me actually get the rainfall loaded up here. For so our 102, all right, look at the rainfall here. Anywhere in that red, that's 6 inches plus. But anywhere in that yellow, New Orleans, and, oh, sorry about that. There's a loading screen. So New Orleans and just west of New Orleans, like in this zone, that's like over a foot of rain. Like I would say even more than that, probably. So this is going to be a very deadly situation. I really hope everybody is evacuating I saw Interstate 10 from Slidell, Louisiana, like this morning. Traffic was absolutely insane, like back to back bumper, like pretty much a standstill. And we'll see if they actually. I'm surprised they haven't flipped the highway so that I-10 East can be both ways, because that way it would be 6 lanes going eastbound. They do that sometimes. I'm not sure if they haven't done it with this system. If you guys know, be sure to let me know, because that's it's just amazing how they can flip the highways like that. But of course, we don't want them to, because that would be a bad case. A bad hurricane's coming if they're flipping the highways to get everyone to evacuate. But still, 2 to 4 inches of rain, all right, spreading inland as well. So don't think that it's just a coastal threat. Yes, for the surge aspect, yes. But even the surge from this, I mean, it's still going to go 50 miles inland. But I'm talking about for you guys up here, yes, then the surge threat will be minimal, but probably none actually. But the rainfall threat, the wind threat will go inland as well. All right, even though the wind will be stronger at the coast. All right, so Canadian model, you can see moving towards the north, and just look at the coverage of that rainfall. Right, just keep in mind, I think the last diameter I checked was about a couple hundred miles wide from left side to right side of storm. But this storm will be expanding in size too. Not that much, but it will be expanding in size. This isn't a very small system. All right, so Canadian model, you can see taking it north. And if we look at the rainfall here, you can see the 6+ inches goes well further inland. And again, we have that area of about 10 inches or so plus for New Orleans. If we look at the Euro model, all right, you can see a landfall. This is Sunday morning. So again, pretty much sitting right off the coast. It will be inland by Monday morning. But look, Tuesday morning, it doesn't move all that much. All right. Now, again, the black isobars is the core of the stronger winds. In those black isobars, that's where the stronger winds are. All right. And of course, as it weakens, the black isobars go away. All right. And now we're just left with still a strong system as it heads through the rest of the mid-Atlantic right there. All right. So still a lot of energy for that 95 quarters. So you guys can still get a lot of rain as well. All right. And if we look at the NAM model, of course, bringing it to the north. All right. Again, southeast Louisiana, we're talking about the 4 cities, Morgan City, Yuma, Grand Isle, and New Orleans are all in line. I would say Morgan City and Yuma are probably the 2 worst, but Grand Isle and New Orleans are still going to get it pretty bad. All right. So if we look at the rainfall, all right, from the NAM model here, all right, as you can see, a lot of rainfall still. Like, look at this. Like that bright yellow in southeastern Louisiana, like almost like a white light. That's like over, if not close to 2 feet. That's pretty much near New Orleans and just south of Grand Isle. So, but Gulfport, Biloxi, 6 to 10 inches. Mobile, 4 to 6 inches. Even the Western Florida Panhandle near Pensacola, that's still 2 to 4 inches. So, a lot of rainfall could be coming down with this system. Now, before I end the video, I want to get one more check. We'll see if the Hurricane Hunters maybe did a little update on the wind graphic. I don't think much is going to change because their flights do take a while. But again, note the drop in pressure, all right, and note how the flight level wind dropped down at the same time. Now, that means that a decent eye is forming, because when you fly and get the lowest pressure, you are in the center of the storm, so the winds are going to drop significantly. So the fact that we saw those drops, those peaks happen at the same time, all right, that means that that is the eye, and the closer the blue and the red are together right there, the better the eye is most likely. All right, and of course, this is probably when they flew through the eye wall. But again, 80 knots, I'm sure it's stronger than that. They still got to make a couple more passes. Their flight just started recently. So thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for updates. I'm the Weather Dude signing off. Till next time, I'll catch you guys in the next video.